to another Friday night of F1 TS Hub. I'm joined by champion of Jono.
Evening, guys.
How's it going, Jono? First time in the country box?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been watching these streams on a Friday night and happy to be involved with it this week.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what these Podium boys can do tonight. Obviously another successful race last week in Russia for some of the boys, and some good racing. I don't know if you caught any of it, Jono, but it was some good battles all the way through to the end of the race.
There was some good battles and some drivers who had not quite so good a race who will be looking to prove some things tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I just realised, Jono, I cut your championship credentials a little bit low there. So you've got 2 drivers and how many constructors?
I have, it's 2 drivers and 2 constructors. One with yourself, I believe.
Yeah, so I cut you one short then, so my apologies about that.
You did. That was harder and good to get that one.
I'm sure it was. Alrighty, so we are just over 10 minutes left of the session. Just to remind everybody that we aren't running full qualifying like we normally would due to the issues from the game disconnecting drivers. So hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted. We do have a test arranged before next week's race in Monaco. But we'll make most of it. 10 minutes left of the qualifying session. Really doesn't give drivers a lot of time to get out there and get some hot laps in, does it, Jono?
It doesn't, and it's a technical track, and just on board with Techno Thriller actually, who's made an error there, coming out of turn 9, one of the most difficult corners on the circuit, I would say. Getting a lap in is going to be tough.
Yeah, definitely. This is always one of the trickier tracks. Obviously, being grass a lot of the time either side of the track means that if you make a mistake, chances are you're going to have more than just a little moment into the runoff area. But this is definitely exciting for us to be back in Spain. First time since Season 8, I believe. We didn't race here in Season 9 with the shortened calendar. And we're seeing Razart's on a hot lap, and he's just touched the back of the Toro Rosso, who I believe was... I'm not too sure. It's got to be Jamie because Tom is in the wrong car. Yeah, and Jamie held him up then. Perhaps he wasn't looking where he was going, but Jamie held Razart up then on a flying lap. I'm not sure if Jamie was on one himself, but he was going really slowly as he headed down to turn 5. So I don't know what'll happen of that if we've got yellow flags in Sector 3 and Jamie goes.
Yeah, a car off the road there in Sector 3.
So we'll see how this affects Razart laps, but just to let everyone know, Tom, or Tej as his name is in the wrong car. He should be in the Toro Rosso, so we'll just remind you guys of that throughout the race, that he is in teammate with Jamie. As Kian goes fastest, Kian's been talking up his chances a little bit for tonight's race after bottling, if you want to call it, Russia. After having a good lead before his first stop, he went backwards from there. But just over 8 minutes left of the session, we've got Kian, Lukey, Razart, Kev and Spider, the top 5 at the moment, as the Boogster now takes 5th position. Just quickly on tyres, we've got the Boogster, Techno Thriller, Gaza and Lemaine all on the medium tyre. The rest of the drivers are on the soft, and Jamie is showing in the pits, so perhaps he's come back to fix some damage to his car, or maybe he's just away from the game currently.
I'm on board with Lemaine now. He's just starting his flying lap. Be interesting to see how he does. Current joint championship leader, I believe.
Yes, that's correct, John. I've just seen an incident with Kev. He's just hit the back of... Oh, I didn't catch it looked like possibly a McLaren, and he's lost half of his front wing as he's now in the gravel again through turn 6 and 7. I don't know what's going on down at turn 5 if drivers aren't looking in the mirrors of exactly what's going on, but that's caused him a lot of damage, and he has got a lap in, so he has got a banker in the bag, but twice now we've seen contact at turn 5, and perhaps these guys just need to be a little more careful who's on a flying lap and who's not, as Kev slows down to let a car pass.
And the main just backed out of this lap, he's just cruising.
and Spider Atlas has just crashed it coming into the pits. I just caught the end of that. I was riding, not on board with him, but from the broadcast view, and I saw him go into the pits, and the camera switched at that point to from inside the pit lane, and I just saw a bit of carbon fiber fly round, and his wheel's sitting actually in the pit lane at the moment.
It is.
So his car's
in a really awkward position.
Yeah, his car's on the outside of the pits on the track, and one of his wheels are in the pit lane. So yeah, he's going to be finished from this session. Obviously, currently in 9th place. We did get a time in, but this is a tricky pit lane, Jono, because you can be quite aggressive with it, and obviously it just caught him off guard.
It is, yeah. You can get sucked into trying to push to gain that bit of time, although quite why they're doing that in qualifying, I'm not sure, but it definitely caught him out there.
Still got a few drivers sporting some pink helmets from when we raced for breast cancer awareness, so big thanks to them. Lemaine's still yet to set a lap time. As you mentioned earlier, Jono, he's joint leader of the championship. As a Techno Thriller twice now I've seen pull completely out the way for another driver, so good on him. He's definitely following the steward's advice in this qualifying session. But Lemaine, obviously you've raced with him on track as Techno Thriller goes wide in the background, coming out of turn 9, I believe, the fast right-hander, and goes right into the gravel. You warned about that, Jono, in your steward's report about potentially taking a trip through the gravel runoff area there.
I did, especially with these new high downforce cars. You can take it pretty much flat out, I think, certainly in quali trim, and it's very easy just to get your lines slightly wrong on the way in and run out of room on the exit. And once you touch that gravel at that sort of speed, anything can happen, really.
Lemaine pumps in a second fastest time.
Yeah,
he's almost Kian's got quite a margin, and perhaps his talking up of his chances wasn't anything shy of the truth. But we'll see what these other guys can do for the rest of the session. But a bit more of a spread out field after him, all the way from 2nd down to 7th is only separated though by 0.3 of a second. I expect to see some grid changes there, as Jamie still hasn't come out of the pit, so I'm not quite sure what he's planning to do. But we've only got 4 minutes, well, just over 4 minutes left, as his teammate showing in the Red Bull is actually in the Toro Rosso comes back out onto track. Just to quickly touch, if you're wondering where Odems is, don't worry, he's alive. He got a spanking last week from the stewards, but he is still well. He's just putting some extra practicing before his race in the Pinnacle tier tonight. But Jono, we've got just under 4 minutes left. These drivers are going to all be coming out now. Who's your money on?
Oh, it's a job to say. Kian is looking good at the moment. That was a really good lap straight off the bat from him, but I think a lot of drivers, their laps looked a little bit scruffy. I think there's definitely time to gain from a lot of the field, and I think the order will be a fair bit different after their final runs.
Yeah, definitely. I think as we watch Lukey, he's now on an outlap. I saw a car coming into the pits then. I didn't quite catch who it was, out of fuel. So he's going to need to get in and out quickly, and that's something, Jonathan, Techno Thriller's in the garage. So that's something we always complained about whilst we were racing, Jono, that in qualifying you don't need to be rolled back into the garage, you just want a new set of boots.
Oh, I complained to you about that many a time. It's so frustrating when you notice there's a few minutes left in the session, maybe you've messed up the lap slightly, you're desperate to get back out there and you're waiting for the mechanics to wheel you back in. Those minutes feel like they're hours when you're out there. Yeah,
so these last 2 chicanes, obviously, Johnny, you've had a fair few visits to them, including one to the steward's office. How easy is it to hook up a lap here in qualifying?
I always find it pretty tough. I don't think I ever have a front row start here. It's one of those laps where I feel you need to build into it, but of course with this short qualifying session you don't get a chance. You've just got to go out there and put the lap in, and I think you have to leave a bit of time on the table, certainly on your first run, just to get that banker lap in. Otherwise it's so easy to mess up one of those technical corners, especially the chicane. I always found you're always determined to try and nail it and take a bit too much curb to get a good exit from the final corner, and it costs you time. I think you've got to just go with the flow here and let the lap time come to you as much as you can.
Yeah, I've never liked that last chicane. Obviously, they got rid of the penultimate corner for what was, I believe, a fast right-hander. Riding on board with Lukey, and defending champion, Jono, what have you made of his season so far?
It's been pretty decent, slightly inconsistent, I would say. I'd say certainly would hope for more as we get into the main crux of the season, but I always felt myself this was sort of the start of the season for me, and you can certainly improve from here, and as we get into the European circuits, I think he'll be looking to move up the grid.
Yeah, of course, the defending champion from Season 9. Just a quick hello to everyone watching, and thank you for tuning in. We've got just over a minute left of this session, and Kian is currently on pole position. Kev's pumped in a decent time there. He's gone second now, just behind Kian, half a second adrift though. Lemaine is still in the pits and on the medium tyres, so perhaps he's not coming back out onto the track. No. He doesn't have enough time. So we've also got Gaz and the Bookster in the pits, who are also on the medium tyre, so they obviously feel like their session's done. But Jamie's come out on a set of soft tyres, so he's only going to get one crack at this. He's running max fuel, I presume. The pressure's going to be really on for him, isn't it?
It's all or nothing now. He knows this is his lap. He's got to just give it everything and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll ride on board with him and see what the Toro Rosso driver can do.
The field is super close as well, between third and 8th. Lamine sat in the pits in third at the moment, but it would take nothing for him to drop several places.
Yeah, definitely. What can these drivers do? That they'll want to get ahead of him in the, as we see Matt Your Daddy retiring from the session. So he's just pulled off the road. He hasn't had an incident. Techno Thriller is retired from the session. He's all the way down in 10th position. So the joint championship leader doesn't fancy putting himself up there with some of his competitors. Still riding on board with Jamie, I believe. Yes, we're riding on board with Jamie. He's in the last sector. This doesn't look a particularly good lap. No, he's backed off. Jamie's going to be starting in the position that he's in, 6th. So he did get a lap in. And we believe everyone now has set a time. So Kian takes pole position for the second week in a row. So his qualifying pace, Jono, has improved a lot, and 2 pole positions to add to his career. And not only that, newly premium member. So a big thanks to Kian and a shout out to him for season 10 premium membership. Do you think he can convert this one, Jono?
Well, looking at that gap to the rest of the field, half a second, you'd have to say it's looking good. If he can get out of turn 1 in the lead, then let's see what he can do. With clear air, there's no reason why he couldn't bring a lead on the field, if he can carry that pace over into the race.
Craig cements his place in this tier by jumping into 3rd position at the closing stages there. So you'd have to say that this tier definitely suits his pace, and he's going to be challenging for the podiums throughout the rest of this season. Of course, in the Mercedes, he landed one of our old seats, Jono.
He did.
Yeah, as you said, it's incredibly close, all the way from 3rd, all the way down to 9th. So those 6 or 7 positions are separated by only a couple tenths of a second.
Definitely. You can imagine the guys, Tajar, Lukey, they'll be slightly frustrated looking at the gap, knowing that just that 1/10 on a corner around that lap would have moved them several places up the grid.
Yeah, and Spider as well. We don't really know what pace he could do, because he had a little kiss with the wall coming into the pits, and it didn't end well. But we're just waiting for this session now for the timer to run out. But the positions are: Kian starts for the second week in a row, pole position, with Kev alongside him. I believe that's a Williams front row, Jono. Kian and Kev, are they teammates? I believe in fact they are. So that is a Williams front row lockout. Obviously Williams have had a lot of success at F1 TS Hub, so they'll be happy to be back to a good start of the European season. But moving on, we've got Craig in 3rd position, and just as I say that, it disappears from me. So we'll wait for the official screens to come up. Obviously we'll see if anyone's been penalised. which it doesn't look like they have. So Kian is in first position, Kev's in second, Craig is in third, Lemaine takes fourth on the medium tyre, Razor starts in fifth, Jamie in sixth, Lukey in seventh, Matt your daddy in eighth, Tom is in ninth, Jonas is in 10th, Techno Thriller is down in 11th, but he'll get to start on what tyre he'd like. Asbor Gaza in 12th, the Boogster in 13th, and Spider Atlas in 14th. I'm a bit surprised there by Techno Thriller. Obviously, if he would have put on the softs, he definitely would have got into the top 10. But he set the time in those mediums, and that was it, really.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't bail on that strategy as well and bolt the softs on. It's all good and well. The medium is probably the better race type to start on, but being that far down the grid, it's always going to cost you time trying to make your way through the field.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll wait for these drivers to select their strategy and select their fuel. And Jonah, one of the questions we asked the drivers this week in their pre-race interview was how they feel just before the lights are about to go out whilst they're sitting on the grid, and some were excited, some were nervous. How did you feel when you were looking up at those lights waiting for them to go out?
I was always excited, but there was definitely nerves even after seasons and seasons of racing. I was always slightly apprehensive. You just want it to go well. I think even more so if it's a track you like and you think you're quick at, because you've got more to lose there. Sat on the grid, very nervous, knowing that I'd have a good chance to win the race if I could keep out of trouble at the beginning.
Yes, of course, you've never lost a street race, I believe, at F1 TS Hub. So there's a little bit of history for all those watching. As Razor has left the session, hopefully you'll be able to get straight back in. Everyone did get a backup invite or two, so if he can get straight back in, he will start the race as normal. If you see any drivers get disqualified on the bottom of your screen, it is only from the formation lap, so you don't need to worry. They will be starting the race. But yeah, Williams front row here, so some teammates are going to be looking down into that first corner. Obviously, they don't want to have any incidents. Razor comes back online. Hopefully he can jump straight back in the lobby. But you've also got Lukey and Matt your daddy, who are teammates at Ferrari. They're starting 7th and 8th. Starting next to your teammate when you race, Jono, are you always a little bit nervous, a little bit more forgiving, giving a little bit more room into that first corner?
Definitely. I'd always rather not start alongside my teammate, just because there's always that risk you'll make a mistake and take them out. I'd always rather be amongst my rivals, to be honest, than my teammate.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, if you're...
Especially as you used to always be last in late breakers into turn one, and I'd always be worried if you were behind me on the grid.
I think if you're talking in a party, it definitely helps, but for sure you're always a little bit cautious about your teammate. But two Williams drivers, as Razor gets back in just in time, so that's good news. We've got both McLaren drivers back in for today's race. Razor starting in 5th and Jonas starting in 11th. We're just waiting for these guys to form up on the grid. No disqualifications, so a clean formation lap for everyone. And Jono, first corner here, just quickly before we start. Is it tight, or is the runoff area a little bit forgiving?
There is space and a little bit of runoff area. Let's just hope everyone keeps it clean.
5 lights are on, and we're about to go racing, and here we are. The Williams of Kian and Kev both get a flying start. They're almost side by side from this view. I believe, yeah, they're changing positions, so it looks like Kev's going to get the better of his teammate here. And if he can keep it clean, he'll take the lead into turn 1, which he does solely. It looks a pretty clean start from everyone, John. I haven't seen any, as I say that, the Bookster's out the race. So, commentator's curse again. It looks like he's lost the car on from the rear end and spun to the inside wall. That's what looks like happens. As we see the two Williams drivers battling for position, they're going side by side through turn 5. Kian gets the lead back. He's on the outside to next corner, and Kev doesn't fight that too hard. So they were wheel banging, but it was all clean. As we see Lemaine obviously on the medium tire now in 3rd position. As Kev's in the wall and he comes back across the track. He's still got a bit of his front wing, but this is exactly what Kev has been prone to do. He just needs to take it easy, and he's down in 12th place now. He's from leading the race. after the first corner. He's down in 12th position, so he's going to have to come in for a front wing change, get a new set of boots. Jamie is just going past him now. Not really sure what happened to him, whether he had a bad start, but he's down 6 positions. So your biggest winners from that are Jonas, Gaza and Spider, who are all up, but Kian leads this race.
Wow, what a shame for the Williams driver there. He just overdrove it a little bit, I think a bit enthusiastic, and he paid.
Seeing a little bit of lag on my screen from Kian. I'm not too sure if that's, yeah, so perhaps that's, as Lukey's out the race.
He is.
Yeah, the defending champion's out the race. That is at turn 3, I believe. Excuse me. That's yellow flags in sector 1 and 2, so I don't know if we're gonna see a safety car, but he won't be happy with that. And we did say, Jono, if you go outside the track limits here, there is gravel and grass, and it seems like these drivers are finding it difficult to deal with that today.
It does. Start of the race when there's cars all around you, jostling for position, and they're just pushing it too far. You've only got to put a wheel wide here, and the gravel sucks you in, as Lukey's found. Yeah,
so that is Lukey and the Bookster now out of this race. So we're down to 12. Kian leads. He's got almost a 3-second lead now over Lemaine. Obviously he's on the quicker tyre. But we can see that the 2 Mercedes drivers are 2nd and 3rd on different strategies and different tyres. So Kian sets the fastest lap. But what's Craig going to do here? Is he going to want to get past his teammate? And he needs to for his own race. And is Lemaine going to fight him? He thinks about going down the inside, but decides better of it, as you can just see the extra grip those soft tyres have got, and he's able to position his car in the way that he wants it to be. But let's go down the order, as Matt's going past Jonas, but isn't able to pull it off around the outside of turn 3. And are we going to see something down turn 5? We are. So Matt the Ferrari goes down the inside of Jonas into turn 5, and fair play to Jonas there, gives him plenty of room. And yeah, that was a good late braking manoeuvre there, Jono.
It was a good move, aggressive, but he kept it clean, and it was a good pass. Now hopefully he can move forward.
So this midfield battle, all the way down from 5th, I'd say, down to 8th. Those 4 drivers are all within a car length of each other. We're just on board with Spider Atlas, and he's got Gaza in front of him, and Jonas in front of him, and then Matt. And Razart's catching back up after his poor start. Obviously we don't know what happened to everyone, but we don't get any replays, unfortunately. But yeah, that definitely looked like, as I said, it was clean. Obviously we had Bookster DNF, but perhaps a few drivers were fighting over the same piece of track, and they weren't able to keep it as clean as we'd all like.
It seems so. It's actually quite a narrow circuit as well, more of an old style circuit. You come from the likes of Russia, where there's plenty of room for several cars to go side by side, but you come here and it's pretty much one car in a line for a lot of the lap.
So if we have a quick flick over to who stopped, we can see that Techno Thriller, Tom and Kev have all stopped. So we haven't seen much of Techno Thriller. We can only presume that he had damage and he needed to come into the pits. Tom, I'm not really sure. As we said, he's in the wrong car today. He should be in the Toro Rosso, but he's had to make a stop. So perhaps he's been involved in that one of those first lap incidents, as Craig has got past his teammate of Lemaine. Sorry, no, he hasn't. He's still behind his teammate.
No, he hasn't. Yeah.
They do have very, very similar helmets, so my apologies for that. But you've got to say, getting an exit here, Jono, out of the last corner is really important, as Kev's retired from the session. So he was in last place and he's binned it. That's got to be a safety car. He's right in the middle of the track. Whether we'll see one or not is another question. But yeah, Kev has binned his car, lost a wheel. Looks like to me, Jono, is that turn 3? It's definitely in sector 1. Is that where the flags are?
I think it is. We've just got the Mercedes coming through turn 3 now.
Yeah, so his teammate just goes past him. No safety car. So that's what it is. They decided, obviously, on this game that a car in the middle of the track didn't warrant that. Jamie is not in the lead, by the way. On my timing screens, it shows that Jamie is in first, but he definitely is. So I can't tell you exactly.
He's in fourth at the moment.
In fourth, so
he's okay on my timing screen. Yeah, he's fourth. He's 2.7 seconds behind Craig at the moment.
Okay, so we had that issue last week in the Pinnacle tier, so it looks like it's back to haunt me again. But Craig's still behind his teammate here, and we had quite a close battle here in one season, I remember, Jono, and it's really important to not lose time to the other cars when you're fighting your teammate.
It definitely is. They're doing okay, these two, at the moment, because although he's possibly holding Craig up a bit, they are pulling away from the rest of the field. And, you know, it will come to them later in the race. They just need to keep it tidy, not get frustrated. And see if they can keep that gap to Kian down as much as possible. It's important for Lamine, especially on the slower tyre at the moment, to keep that gap to the leader as low as he can, so when they switch tyre later, he'll be in a good position. But we do know that overtaking here is tough as well. It's, if you can't do it into turn one, very difficult to find a way past anywhere else on the lap.
Yeah, unless you're going to sling it into the braking zone at one of the exits, I believe, after turn 9, the hairpin, which does have runoff area, so you can try something. But at this early stage in the race, perhaps Craig's just deciding, you know, that it's not what he wants to do at this stage. But Jono, one thing I'd like to point out is when you do battle for someone at the end of the pit straight, one of the things you can do is, if you're able to make them go to the inside line, you can just try and get a better exit, and with that extra grip he's got on those tyres, he can perhaps take a more swinging line into turn 3, and you can sometimes pull a move off onto the inside of turn 4, but I'm sure Toto wouldn't like to see another couple of Mercedes trying that after.
There's definitely a few strategies you can use around here to make a pass. It rewards the sort of thinking man's driver, I think. You can set moves up maybe over a few laps, see where you're stronger than the opposition, and set up a move.
Tom has spun it. It looks like he's lost the rear of his car. There's carbon fiber all over the track, but yellow flags have decided to put themselves away. But yeah, Tom has lost a half of his front wing. A big chunk of aero and performance will be missing from that. I should say Red Bull, but he should be in a Toro Rosso. As we see Razor just pulling a move off into turn 1 on Spider Atlas. So Spider Atlas moves down a position and Razor moves up. But yeah, I'm not really sure, John. These drivers seem to be struggling through that first sector where we're seeing all these incidents.
They do. I wonder if part of it is coming from the qualifying, where the car feels amazing through, especially at turn 3. Then when you come to the race with a fuel tank of fuel, it just understeers and it can catch you out so easily. Yeah,
and this race is to me always felt long. You know, 33 laps, as you see. Gaza getting a little bit of a tank slapper there. He's got Razor now behind him. They are both on alternate strategies, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But we are on lap 7 out of 33. We haven't mentioned Kian, but he does still lead this race. He's got a 7-second lead now.
Yeah.
So he needs to just keep it calm. As we see Razor's lining up his old friend Gaza here. They've raced for a couple seasons now together, so they know each other well. But John, these soft tyres are soon going to be going past their best sell-by date, and these medium runners are perhaps going to be coming into play as we see Lemaine's pulled a bit of a gap on Craig.
Definitely. I would expect to see Lemaine, if he's got the pace, I'd expect to see the gap to Kian equalise and maybe even come down a little bit over the next few laps. As you say, he's now pulled a little bit of a gap to Craig, as Tom also rejoins the circuit after that spin, and he's on the super soft tyre by the look of it. So that sort of ruined his strategy because he started on the mediums, so he'd have been hoping to go long on that first spin.
Meanwhile, Razor is under 3 tenths of a second behind Gaza. On my screen it's showing Tom and Techno Thriller are both on the hard tyre. Techno Thriller is on the hard tyre, and
he is on the hard.
Yeah, so they do look very similar, don't they, Jono?
They do.
The hard and the super soft. But yeah, Kian leads this race, not Jamie. Ignore the timing screens, that isn't the case. Razor gets ahead of Gaza, so he must have done that. That's been done into the hairpin. I just missed that as we were looking at the leader. But yeah, he's got the job done on Gaza. So on the soft tyre, they aren't finished yet as far as Razor's concerned. And Craig comes into the pits, as does Jonas. So both soft drivers are deciding they've had enough, and they'll be going on to another, as does Jamie Pitt as well. So they'll be going on to another set of boots, and they'll be looking for the undercut on some of their rivals.
They will, although Razor, his traction still looked good at that final corner compared with Gaza behind him. So there's certainly a bit of life left in his tyres yet, I think.
So we're not seeing as many close battles as we have in previous races with these podium boys. But meanwhile, Matt Your Daddy goes around the outside of Craig, who just exits the pits, and Craig's thought about going down the inside there at turn 3, but maybe that was key for Matt Your Daddy there. Craig's not going to be liking the back of that Ferrari. He was hoping for an undercut, especially on his teammate. But Kian is still out on track, so he is the leading car at the moment, and he's got a bit of a buffer, Jono, where he doesn't need to react to these guys straight away. He can think about what he wants to do, what tyre he wants to go on, if he doesn't already have it planned out.
Definitely, he's got that bit of a buffer. He can just run the strategy you have planned out beforehand, which is always nice. You just know where you stand in the race. You can drive your own race and just pump in the laps.
So Craig's gone onto the soft tyre, which means he will have to stop again. So a 2-stop and a 1-stop is going to be the choices for these drivers tonight. Of course, if you're just joining us for the first time, a big hello from myself and Jono. We'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and hit the like if you like what you're seeing and like what you're hearing. You can follow us on Twitter at F1TS Hub, and if you're interested in joining the league, head over to the website at f1tshub.com. We're riding on board with Craig. He's going to try and go around the outside here of Matt Your Daddy. Seems to be a little bit of lag involved. So I know, Jono, you mentioned that Matt Your Daddy's connection didn't look the best in the lobby, but this extra grip, Craig's going to want to get this move done sooner rather than later, and perhaps he's going to need to think about a late braking move here.
Jamie's coming to play here as well. Matt Your Daddy looks like he's desperate to get by, and it gets you a bit desperate when you know there's a driver chasing you behind. With Craig pushing Matt along, he'll be determined to make a move on Jamie if the opportunity comes to him.
It's really frustrating, Johnny. You're going to have to talk us through what's happening with Jamie, because on my screen he's in 10th position. But are you saying that he's just in front of this battle with Matt?
On my screen, Matt's just literally right behind him. Almost went for a move to pass him there into that corner.
So has Jamie pitted at all, or?
I don't believe Jamie is pitted. He's on the hard tyre by the look of it. So he has.
He has pitted. Matt Your Daddy's getting out of shape coming out of that last corner. He's struggling with these tyres now. He's obviously trying to push him a bit further and take this to a 1-stop. And he's definitely holding up Mercedes, but Craig got his DRS open. Yeah, DRS is open, as does Jonas. He thinks about the outside, can't quite do it. He's going to have to find another way past that Ferrari, but he's losing a lot of time now as Matt Your Daddy on the medium tyre is definitely holding him up. But on my screen it shows Craig is on the soft tyre, but on the timing screen it shows he's on the medium. So Codemasters obviously have some issues with their spectator mode on the medium. Okay, so perhaps it's just my broadcast that it doesn't like. Meanwhile, Kian is in 3rd position, having switched over to the harder tyres. So perhaps we'll take this chance, Jono, just to run through who's pitted and who hasn't. So Lemaine and Gaz are both on the medium tyres, haven't pitted yet. Kian, as Techno Thriller, gets a 3-second time penalty. I know Matt Your Daddy also got slapped with one of those earlier in the race. Kian has stopped. Matt Your Daddy has stopped. Craig has stopped. Jonas, Razor, Spider Atlas, Techno Thriller and Jamie have all stopped as well. Tom has stopped twice and he's way at the back of the field, so not a good day for him. Just to update us, Jonah, what position is Jamie in currently?
Jamie is currently 4. He's currently 0.2 seconds ahead of Matt Your Daddy.
He wants to go down the...
Matt goes for a move up the inside into turn 1, and he's made it stiff, I think, on Jamie. He has indeed. And, yep. Matt moves up to 4th, Jamie down to 5th.
Such a shame we weren't able to show you that, guys. But
and
yeah,
Craig has also passed Jamie, so they're both through, and now Craig can continue chasing Matt down.
So Jamie definitely struggling on those hard tyres. As I've said, ignore the graphics on the screen. Kian, meanwhile, is thinking about a look down the inside of Gaza. Obviously, Gaza hasn't stopped yet, which is why he's in the position he's in. But he's going to be losing time here, Kian. He's probably racing Lemaine and Craig at the moment, so he's going to want to get past this Red Bull. But obviously, Gaza in a strong position, having started on those medium tyres, and he'll be looking to go a bit further into distance in this race.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see if Kian can make a move here. Often traction can be difficult on the hard tyre, but he's got a good exit there.
They're really close, and Kian's going to go for it here down the inside.
Yeah, this is a slam dunk as long as he gets his braking point right.
So Gaza doesn't fight him too much. He obviously felt the battle wasn't there. The battle is further down his competition, his other rivals on the track today. But yeah, Kian goes through. So as we saw, Lemaine pitted that lap. So the previous race leader came into the pits, and he's come out in 4th place on my screen. Jono, is that correct on yours?
On my screen, Lemaine is 3rd behind Kian and Gaza.
Okay, so yeah, Jamie is showing up 1st on my screen. So that's obviously incorrect, as we've mentioned, which is a little bit frustrating for me, particularly whilst commentating, but we will make do. The closest battle is Craig on Matt Your Daddy, so that Mercedes still being held up by the Ferrari. He's going to need to get this done because his teammate obviously is just going to be gaining time in a bit clearer air, but
he's
yeah,
lost a lot of time now.
Yeah, that undercut, or the move that he went for, definitely hasn't paid off today, simply because the back of that Ferrari has been visible throughout this stint.
Definitely. I always find picking a wing level here was tough. You want as much wing as you can for the rest of the lap, but then you can lead to this sort of situation now where you just haven't got the straight line speed and the exits on the final corner to make a pass.
As Gaza comes into the pits, so I believe that's everybody now having stopped once. I believe a lot of these drivers switch over to hard try. Craig's going to try and go around the outside. They touch wheels slightly. If he can hold it here, Matt Your Daddy gives him just about enough room. That's some fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing from the two teams there, and the Mercedes versus Ferrari. Is it going to continue into turn 4? Craig thinks about it. Matt gives him room. We'll have to wait till they exit the corner. They're still side by side. Matt Your Daddy takes the inside, gives him a little squeeze on the outside. What can Craig do? Can he use his extra traction from being on the outside? It doesn't look like it, Jono, but that looked like a pretty good scrap to me.
Yeah, there's a good battle there, and they both just give each other enough room. And you can see Craig is getting more desperate by the lap. He really, really wants to get this move done now.
He's got the two McLarens closing in on him as well, of Jonas and Razart, who are on my screen showing on the soft tyre, which is also correct on their cars. So they're joining this battle. Gaza, having pitted, has come out just behind them, so he'll be wanting them to continue. Are we going to see these two McLaren drivers battle again? Because we're about to go down this back straight and see a Ferrari Mercedes and then two McLarens try to DRS each other.
Definitely, it just shows how much time they're losing battling as well. Those two McLarens. Oh, they're side by side. Craig is up the inside this time round, surely, on Matt. And he spots his braking point.
Oh, they touch! They're in the wall!
He's out!
Craig is out the race. Matt Your Daddy is in the wall as well. He's got wing damage. He doesn't look to have ended this race. No, he's back underway. But Craig's debut in the podium tier, what was that all about? That was trying to go side by side.
I thought Craig had got the move done from on board, but I guess Matt maybe stuck his nose still up the inside as Craig turned in, and there was contact, and so unlucky there that he hit the wall and lost his wheel. Yeah, we'll have a good battle.
We'll have to figure out exactly what happened after the race. but both drivers won't be happy. Won't be happy with that. It'll be interesting to hear their version of events, Jono. I could only see the onboard shot from just behind the driver's head. That's what the broadcast view switched to on my screen. But it definitely looked like a case of Matt, your daddy, still tried to hold it on the outside, which became the inside, obviously, of turn 2, and perhaps either Craig felt that you shouldn't stick your nose in, or Craig thought that he was further behind. But that is going to hurt both of their races, particularly Craig, who is the 4th driver to not score in this race. Of course, Tom, I believe, is ghosting, so he isn't actually driving that car. So we're down to 9 drivers now, which is pretty poor for this tier. They seem to have not taken a liking to this track, but Kian doesn't mind.
The benefit, of course, is Razor, who's now up into a podium position after those 2 made contact.
So if you want to just run through the order for me, Jono, because obviously mine keeps mucking up. Kian is in 1st position, Jamie is in 2nd, is that correct?
We've got Kian in 1st position, Lemaine in 2nd, Razor in 3rd, Jonas Albright in 4th, Jamie in 5th, Gaz 6th, Techno Thriller 7th, Spider 8th, Matt your daddy 9th, and that's the last 5 runners, I think, with Tajar just ghosting around.
Yeah, so all drivers who finish today's race, of course, will be scoring points, but Kian has a 6-second lead on my screen. Again, I don't know how correct that is. It's showing Jamie. Oh no, Jamie's just moved down now to 9th.
Kian's got a 10.5 second lead over Lemaine on my screen, so that gap has actually gone out. I believe they're both now on the hard tyre, and yet Kian has still pulled that gap out from about, I think, 8 seconds after the pit stop.
Kian did pit first, of course, but he started on the softer compound. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. It looks like the 2 McLarens have gone for a 2-stop strategy. They're both on the soft tyre, so they're going to be pushing as fast as they can, and it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do from there. But have we got a battle shaping up on the podium? For no, that's frustrating. Matt, your daddy has retired from the race, so he did pit for a new front wing, but he obviously.
I'm on board with it now. His car looks in one piece.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any damage to me, so perhaps he's had enough. There's yellow flags. A bit disappointed we haven't seen a virtual or a full safety car. I feel like on numerous occasions there would have been, a situation which warranted it. But Lemaine chasing down Kian. So yeah, Craig retired obviously from that incident with Matt, and he's probably fuming. That is not how he wanted to start his race, but he can't continue with 3 wheels. And as we said, John, all these incidents have happened in Sector 1, so these fast sweeping corners really aren't suiting these drivers going side by side.
It's definitely catching the guys out. I think tyre wear has a big effect here as well. Once the tyres wear, you struggle so much for grip and traction, and the mistake is really easy to make. I always find it a track that really punishes you if you try and extend the stint on a set of tyres. You just lose so much lap time and make mistakes so easily. I think, it's not unexpected to have these incidents after the likes of Russia, which is a much more open circuit, much more flowing circuit. Coming here, it's difficult to get to the mindset that you've got to be right on the money every corner for the whole 33 lap race.
Yeah, difficult to be consistent here, as you mentioned. So Tom is still, no, he isn't ghosting. So Tom is in the session. He's a lap down, but he is in 9th position. So if he stays there, he will score points today. So at least we're up to 9 rather than down to 8. But I'm not sure if he was left the session or if he had paused when I last looked at him, but he was definitely ghosting. So 9 drivers left, John. A bit of a disappointment here. Razart on my screen is literally pushing Jamie out of the way, which obviously isn't the case on what's happening. It really is difficult for me to follow exactly who's where. So just to clarify, is Jonas
Pitt's 5th at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
Jonas Pitt. It seems to be the closest battle on track at the moment is going to be between Jonas, Jamie, and Razor. They were quite close in the middle of the pack there.
So
Jonas pits for a set of hards that I presume to take him to the end.
Take him to the end. Yeah, definitely. Would have thought a medium set would have perhaps done the job there for the rest of the race, but he obviously feels he needs that extra tire stint with those hard tires. But yeah, he's obviously going for the undercut on those guys that you mentioned he was fighting, and he's definitely going to have plenty of life to take those to the end. And perhaps he's just going to be defensive, Jono. If he's got good straight line speed here, he just needs to nail his exit from the last corner and perhaps turn 9, and then just keep it on the track really, and perhaps this undercut is really going to benefit him.
Definitely, it's definitely a track where an undercut is well worth going for. All these guys are in some points anyway. It's worth going for the undercut, getting the slower tyre on, and getting track position, because as we've already seen, if you can defend successfully into turn 1, it's going to be very difficult for the driver behind to actually get by.
Is Razor going to react here? Obviously they couldn't pit same lap, and he does indeed react, so Razor is coming into the pits. Yeah, so he's obviously decided just make sure you get your car slowed down there. Yes, perfectly done by Razor. And yeah, Kian set the fastest lap there, so he isn't taking it easy. He's pushing this Williams to the limit, and he's done exactly what he said he'd do before the race. He knew he was quick here, and he's really putting on the pressure on Techno Thriller and Lemaine, who Techno Thriller we haven't really mentioned or ridden on board with this race, but we knew he had an incident on the first lap. He's currently 6 seconds behind Jonas on my screen on the hard tyre. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah, he's in 8th place. He's 6 seconds behind Jonas at the moment.
Awesome stuff.
So, podium positions at the moment is Kian, Lemaine, and then we've got Jamie in 3rd at the moment. Big gap between all those drivers. Kian
Gaza in 4th?
Gap. He's driving brilliantly. Yeah, Gaza in 4.
So if Gaza can make this one stop work, he's definitely come a long way from where he started, and he's definitely made that stint work, and that's what Gaza's been doing in this season so far. He's been starting outside, you know, the top 10 more or less, and he's been starting on the harder tyre and just biding his time, going through slowly but surely, and just picking up the places as incidents happen. But Jonas has come out behind his teammate, so the undercut wasn't enough for one lap. Razor reacted cleverly there to that, and perhaps we're going to see these boys battle, because I can see a Renault of Spider Atlas at the top of the screen there, so it'll be interesting to see whether as on my screen we're seeing Jonas literally pow Jamie's car out the way, which of course isn't real. Jamie is in 3rd position in his Toro Rosso, so well done to him as well.
He is. He's again driving a solid race, kept down a trouble, and the positions are coming to him.
Of course, turn 3 here, Jono, with these new cars on this game, you must be able to carry a lot more speed than we were able to do on the last game. It must be pretty exciting how much speed you can carry through turn 3 and turn 9. Just a quick exclusive here for us, Jono. Do you miss racing?
I miss parts of racing. I miss race day, that's for sure. That buzz you get of league racing against your opposition, outwitting them, going for overtakes, it's brilliant. I do miss that side of it. It's just having the time for the rest of it that's difficult for me at the moment.
Yes, me and all. But commentary is the next best thing. Get to watch these drivers on track fight it out. But I'm sitting here, I believe you are as well, in our F1 TS Hub t-shirts, so if you want to support the league, guys, head over to the website and visit the shop where you can find t-shirts, hats, mugs and more. We do have an offer coming on our merchandise, but I won't say no more just yet as Spider Atlas comes into the pits. I can't say anything else, but there will be an offer on the shop coming soon, and you'll have to head over to Twitter and follow us on there to find out exactly what's that going to be. So Spider Atlas has had a front wing change. He's going to be fitting the medium tyre, so he's going to be on the quicker tyre than those McLarens, but that's a big gap to make up, Jono, for this last stint.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be tough, to be honest, to make that up. As Razor Ray's up behind Jonas? Was he ahead of Jonas before?
He was indeed ahead of Jonas before, so I'm not sure what's happened there.
No,
but
he's
yeah,
got a little gap as well. He's over a second behind, so I guess he must have made a mistake, or Jonas has made a pass, which has slowed him down.
Yeah, in this second, from the moment I switched onto him, Razor has lost 8
looking on board,
temps.
actually, he's lost half his wing. He's lost the left side of his front wing, I believe, Razor.
Yes, he has lost some end plates, the bit that sticks up from the wing. So he's obviously had a bit of an incident, hopefully not with his teammate and perhaps just with the barrier. But is this going to force him to stop? I'll ride on board with him and we'll see what he does.
Techno's right behind him now as well. He's stayed out.
So Techno will be looking to pick up another position here. Yeah, DRS is open.
Easy move.
Yeah, this is going to be a textbook move.
I honestly believe Razor should have pitted there. I know I've tried this at Brazil, staying out with a damaged wing, but with this many laps left, it will just cost you so much lap time, especially here around turn 3. The understeer will feel so bad for him.
He could have bolted on a set of soft tyres and they would have taken him to the end.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to decide to do that this lap because, as you said, Jono, he's struggling with that car. And yeah, his teammate, who of course is a rookie this season, is going to be getting the better of him what looks like today. Obviously, I don't want to curse him, of course, but no, Jonas is doing a good job. I've been impressed with him since he's joined the league, Jono, and yeah, he's leading that team at the moment. Of course, Razor's missed the last couple of races. But Jonas has been there and he's been putting in some top 10 performances, getting those points, all important points on the board. But you have to say, Lemaine has no answer to Kian today.
He doesn't. 15-second gap now, he has got no answer. If Kian can keep it mistake-free till the end, he is looking really, really good for the win here.
And this hasn't just been a win, Jono. I think this has been more of a, domination in a sense, because
definitely
he's got pole position by quite a margin, as he did in Russia, but obviously wasn't able to convert that. And yeah, he's done a solid job here today. So if he continues this, he's got the fastest lap as well, so it'll be a clean sweep for him. And if he can get DOD, driver of the day, of course you can vote on Twitter after the race, then that'll be a successful night for himself and his side of the garage. Of course, Kev retired, as Kian just cements his what I was saying by setting the fastest lap of the race.
Him and Lemaine have both had a clean run from lights out pretty much as well, so it has been just a pure example of speed, and he's carried over exactly what he did in quali into the race. The pace was genuine.
Yeah, definitely. So Gaza is in 4th position, I believe. Is that correct?
He is. He's currently 3 seconds behind Jamie. I'm just keeping an eye on the gap. He's dropping back a touch from Jamie, I think. Okay,
so that isn't something we're going to be able to look forward to, unfortunately. But the nearest battle is Techno Thriller on Jonas. What can the joint championship leader do? Of course, Lemaine is in the podium position, so Lemaine looks likely to take the lead away from this race in terms of the championship points. But they've got someone else who's arrived on scene, Jono.
Absolutely, yeah, it's looking interesting. But it's interesting to see if Techno can close down Jonas here as well. He is eating into that gap. It's now 1.8 seconds. He's moving forward well in the second part of this race, and interested to see if he can get him in these last 7 or 8 laps.
Yeah, so we're on lap 25 out of 33. We haven't had as exciting races we have in previous races, as Kian is pushing his car. He doesn't fancy letting off, even with a 16-second gap. I just really hope he can keep it together. Perhaps he should just turn the engine down, Jono, and bring it home. But yeah, Techno Thriller, I don't know if you've watched any of the races prior to this one fully, but Techno Thriller's driving had previously really impressed myself and Odem's defending, his overtaking, and just his ability to put the car in the right places at the right time. So perhaps that's going to be his advantage, and his strength that he takes forward from the remaining remainder of this championship. Lemaine, of course, a former winner of season 9, I believe. But Techno Thriller gets a little bit of a tank slapper, and Gaza gets a 3-second penalty. So This is a track where you can get penalties, of course, Jono. I believe it is strict around here. That last chicane being one of them. But we touched on this in Russia, and you know, myself and Odoms didn't enjoy the constant race control popping up with a driver getting a penalty. But you know, what goes through the steward's process in terms of these tracks for picking what corner cutting setting? Obviously, I know a lot were used from last year, but in terms of last year's game, how did you decide which track got which setting?
It's pretty straightforward, and it's quite obvious which tracks you can gain a lot of advantage from, and also which track the game is lenient or not on. It seems quite random as to how often the game penalises you, and it varies from circuit to circuit. So certainly tracks like Russia, it's so easy to just cut across the curves without much punishment or lots of time. In fact, you can gain a lot of time from it. So I think it's important to run strict at the right circuits. But the other ones, really technical tracks, the ones where you can't gain an advantage, we tend to run the reduced rules just to allow the drivers to enjoy themselves and race and battle each other, which is what we want to see at the end of the day on track. Yeah,
we don't like seeing, you know, a race decided by penalties, as we saw some drivers move positions last time out. But Tom, I believe, is just being lapped by Technothriller and Jonas. So well done to him for getting right out of the way. Jonas is going defensive already.
Jonas has overtaken Jamie there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've missed that. That isn't showing on my screen. So, what, Jonas has overtaken Jamie into fourth position, is that correct?
That's it, into fourth position, yeah. And we now got Technothriller also just behind Jamie, so he'll be looking to get by as well as quick as he can, so he can continue his battle with Jonas.
Jamie seems to be struggling here today. Obviously, in qualifying, he only got that one lap in, and he hasn't really featured in the race.
Back up the inside here. Oh, he's backed out of it. He went for the move into turn 7. Oh, but Jonas has run wide on the exit of turn 8. And as they come around turn 9, Jamie's on the outside. He's tried to hold it, but he's backed out. And rejoins just behind Jonas. And he's dive bombed it. He's put a dive bomb now into turn 10. Oh, and they touched. Oh, and Technothriller's got both of them. Oh,
brilliant
that
stuff.
Was aggressive dive bomb by Jamie, but it didn't pay off. He's now at the back of this train, and Technothriller has taken advantage fully there and moved it fourth.
All I could see on my screen as Jonas gets a 3-second penalty was I was riding on board with Technothriller as you were commentating on the two guys going side by side through turn 9. Carry on, Jono.
Jamie is now side by side. Yeah, Jamie's side by side with Jonas down the main straight here. He's on the inside into the braking zone, and he's made it stick, I think. Is he leaving space? Yeah, he's got the position. So Jamie back up to 5th and Jonas down to 6th.
So wow, some position changes then. We didn't think we were going to get too much excitement for the remainder of this race. But I was riding on board with Techno, as I said. And as you were commentating on those two, I was thinking to myself, Technothriller is going to go for a dive bomb here. And sure enough, he went for a lunge down the inside and got both of them. So that was just an example of some of the brilliant racing, which I said he'd been doing so far this season. And he wasted no time in getting past those guys when he caught up to them. But yeah, a bit disappointing for Jamie to lose a position.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Jonas has got wing damage during that as well. He's got damage on the left side of his wing, I think. So difficult to tell. He's certainly dropped back from the two cars in front of him anyway.
Yeah, it looks okay on my screen, but of course the tyres cover the final bit of the end plate, so we can't see. You know, I got a really close shot here. It looks okay to me, Jono.
Okay, maybe he's just dropped back after the battling, I guess. He's already 2.2 seconds behind.
It's a little bit strange considering he stopped latest of the two guys in front of him. So Spider Atlas, of course, on the medium tyre is being chased by Razor on the harder tyre. So Razor still has wing damage. So you would expect Spider Atlas to be able to keep that position. But some pretty big gaps here forming. But
the closest battle is still Jamie, who's right behind Technothriller and went for a look then down the inside of turn 5. Jamie's looking aggressive here. He really wants to make the move.
I'll let you commentate on this, Jono, because all I can see obviously is Techno's car. So you just take over when they're about to about to dance, but yeah, coming down into the hairpin.
They come down to turn 10. Oh, he's gone for a dive. Oh, they've touched. He's made contact. That was a half-hearted move there. They touched, but no damage done. Techno keeps the position. So, Jamie just needs to keep his cool, get that good exit out of the last corner, and make the move into turn 1. Doesn't need to put it all on the line. He's got 3 laps left yet to make the move.
I don't know. Obviously, what happened on your screen, but I was watching Techno Thriller, and he went to turn in, and then he actually turned out of the corner at the moment you said. So he didn't just ignore him once he saw that Jamie was going to go for the pass. But Techno Thriller still looks to be going defensive on my screen.
As you mentioned, yeah, he's defending well. Jamie went to look again, but Techno's placing his car in just the right position at the moment. Yeah, Jamie, he's obviously the quicker driver. He's at this point in the race, when the tyres are on, but he's just got to pick his move well. I think some of these dive bombs could lead to contact.
So we're actually seeing a battle of the lap times as Lemaine sets the fastest lap time before Kian goes, no thank you, that's something that I wanted to take away from this race. So 2 laps to go. We're just waiting for Kian to come across the line, which he actually has done. Sorry, my apologies. Waiting for Lemaine to come across the line. What's happened, Jono? Keep us updated with
yeah, sorry, there's no more moves yet. Jamie's just he lost the back of the car there a little bit, and just lost a little bit of time. Just desperate to get on the power as early as he can, and he's just losing the rear of the car a little bit. He's actually a little further back as they go onto the starting the straight this lap. He's just within DRS, but definitely won't be making a move into turn 1 this lap.
So he's got a couple laps to do it after this one, and Jono, we know how well Techno defends. We saw it in the opening 2 rounds, of course, but this will be really interesting to see what these boys can do, because I believe this is for 4th position. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so 4th position. So we've got Kian leading, Lemaine in 2nd, Gaza in the podium position. So he's going to likely score a podium today, 1 stopping, and perhaps, as we speak of stops.
As you say, Gaz has just quietly made his way forward in this race onto the podium, as things stand.
Yeah, so Kian, Lemaine have stopped twice. Gaza has stopped once. Techno Thrillers twice. Jonas is twice. Spiders twice. Razor's twice. Jamie and Tom are also twice. So that means Gaz is the only driver to 1-stop it, and he does. You have to say this is going to work for him. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't actually see Kian and Lemaine stop again, but they've both fitted the soft tyre. I did wonder why they were on the soft tyre, and there is my answer. Absolutely,
and Jamie, it looks like the best of the tyres are gone. He's now a couple of seconds behind Techno. It looks like those positions, unless there's a mistake from Techno, it looks like 4th and 5th is where these 2 will probably finish.
A good solid comeback from Techno Thriller. I'm just hearing that perhaps he was involved in that incident with Boogster at the start of the race. So yeah, disappointing day for Force India as Emphatic joins us on the live stream. Both drivers are not scoring any points in this race. One of them, of course, not able to attend, and the other one not making it past turn 2. But Jono, it's still been a good race, and we've seen some drivers put in some good performances and take advantage of those who have made mistakes. But out of the drivers who haven't finished this race, you have to say that there'll be a few disappointed faces come their race reports.
There will. Certainly Matt and Craig, they're looking so strong early on, particularly Craig when he was up with his teammate early on. You know, it's a good result gone here for sure for those drivers.
Yeah, and Kev as well, of course, starting on the front row next to his teammate. He did lead the race on the first lap. He didn't finish the first lap in the lead, but yeah, he'll be disappointed with what happened to him today. But as you can say, Jono, it's just about learning from these experiences, and the more track time you have, especially with other drivers, is so beneficial. As did Techno Thriller just made a mistake there coming on to turn 3.
It has. That's put Jamie back within striking distance, that's for sure.
We are on the last lap, so I'll let you keep an eye on those boys. I'm going to ride across the line with Kian. He's going to come across to take the win. The checkered flag is out and he's a happy boy. So Kian takes his first win at F1 TS Hub, and Lemaine is behind. So Kian has put a statement to those championship leaders to say, I'm here and I'm not bottling it. I'm won a race now, and you can expect to see me here for the rest of the season. Lemaine, second place, solid job from him, Jono. And Gaza, a shout out to the one-stopping Gaza, the only driver to one-stop this race. He's going to come across the line to finish on the podium. He'll be happy with that. A good night for him. And then we've got Techno Thriller in fourth. And
just coming around the last corner now.
Yeah, so on my screen it's Jamie in fourth, Techno Thriller in fifth, but that is not the case. It is the other way round, as they almost crashed coming into the last sector. But obviously that is just on my stream. So Jonas, solid position in sixth. He wasn't able to fight with those guys towards the end. In a sense, his pace dropped off, like you mentioned. But Spider Atlas in the Renault, he's had a quiet race, but seventh position, scored some decent points today. And then behind him is Razart, who is going to come across the line still with that wing damage. So we will never know how much time he lost through having that damage. But Tom's going to come across the line just in front. So that'll be race over. We won't have to wait for anyone else. Yeah, Jono, what have you made of your first experience, obviously commentating, and your first experience watching these guys from the podium tier live?
Well, that race was definitely a war of attrition, as we thought it might be. There were some good battles, some good driving. The drivers who finished, I think it will stand them in good stead for the rest of the season. On a technical track, they've survived it. They've picked up some good points. And, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, Williams team back on the top step of the podiums, Jono. Obviously, you won a drivers' championship and a constructors' championship with them. Do you expect to see them more on the season as the season goes on the podium?
Oh, definitely. I mean, looking at that drive there from Kian, I mean, that was just a fantastic drive. You have to say it was domination, qualifying and in the race. And I think you said he had fastest lap as well. So you can't do much more than that. And that's on a technical circuit. I think he's definitely put his hat into the mix for the championship battle this season.
So we've got a few drivers with penalties. Gaza, Techno Thriller, Jamie and Jonas all coming away with at least one. We've also got Spider Atlas and Matt, your daddy, who didn't finish the race. So Kian finishes first, his first win in F1 TS Hub. Lemaine is in second, on the podium again. He'll take the championship lead heading to Monaco. Gaz is in third, Techno Thriller's in fourth, Jamie's in fifth, Jonas in sixth, Spider Atlas in seventh, Fraser in eighth, and Tom in ninth. Those were our only finishers. We obviously had Kev, the two Ferraris of Lukey and Matt, your daddy, failed to finish, as well as the Bookster in the Force India, who didn't make it into turn 3. Jono, the Podium boys have put on a good show for us tonight, and they'll be back next week at one of your favourites, Monaco. Will you be watching live?
I will definitely be watching with interest. Monaco might be a boring race in real life. It's definitely not a boring race in F1 TS Hub. We've had some great races there in the past. There'll be some risky moves, there'll be some DNF for sure, but guaranteed it'll be one to watch.
So we'll wrap that up here, guys. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel, and of course follow us on Twitter at F1 TS Hub. We've got loads going on over there. And head over to the website. All these drivers were taking part in their official media day yesterday. So some great stuff to read from not only them, but from Jamie, who did a driver column, and also a few other bits and bobs from the official press reporter. But yeah, Jono, we'll leave that here. We'll be back next week at 7 PM for the Podium tier. We will be back shortly at 9 PM for the Pinnacle tier. We're expecting 19 drivers to battle it out at this same track in Spain. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, Jono. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully we can get you back in the commentary box before the end of the season.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys.